following is a presentation of Main Street Media, your source for news, sports, and information on Main Street in Middle Tennessee.
From preps to pros and everything in between, it's Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today. Live from the Lee Company Studio. With the Hall of Famer Bo Patton, here's Chris Young.
We are coming to you from the mobile Lee Company Studio here on the not on the campus, but in the media workroom. Because we are media.
And we are working.
And we are working from Finley Stadium here in Chattanooga. Boy, what a time we are having here at the TSSAA Blue Cross Bowl Football State Championships. We have got plenty of football to talk about. We're going to keep talking a little high school football. Normally we wouldn't do that on a Friday, but we only have a few college games to get to. So, and the Titans are on a bye. It's like the worst possible combination of things as far as our shows concerned.
Well, as far as our format.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, it would almost be blasphemous for us to be here at the Blue Cross Bowl
and not talk
high school football. Exactly.
So we are going to get a lot of high school football in. We'll still talk some college football, of course, and lots to get to. Lots of coaching changes. It just keeps coming. They just keep coming. It's insane. Not only football, but now we got basketball. We got all kinds of stuff to talk about. So looking forward to it, man. Looking forward to it. It's going to be a good show. But first, Mo, how are you?
I'm all right. I think the question, Chris, is how are you? Because yesterday's show, you were a bit hot under the collar.
I was, in fact, but today.
Or hot at the collar, maybe.
There you go. Today, nice and cool. As you can see, a new backdrop. Here we have some, I guess this is old UTC photos.
Or maybe not so old. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. The leather helmets are pretty much a giveaway.
So no face masks.
Yeah.
Pretty much dates that one. But yeah, so we don't have the beautiful backdrop of Lookout Mountain, but we do have cooler bodies, and that's always good. So excited to get into this show. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to get into our top stories here momentarily, but first we need to give you some results from yesterday and this weekend schedule on the rundown.
This is the Rundown. The Friday Rundown is brought to you by Chip Walters of Exit Realty, Bob Lamb and Associates. The voice of the Blue Raiders also wants to be your trusted advisor in real estate. Contact Chip at 615-542-1915 or through his website at choosechip.net. Chip Walters, proud to support local youth sports in Southern Middle Tennessee.
In Blue Cross Bowl State Football Championship action from last night, or from yesterday, Lipscomb Academy defeated Christ Presbyterian Academy 27-0. It was Donaldson Christian defeating Nashville Christian 31-7. And in the nightcap last night, McCallie with a 28-7 win over Montgomery Bell Academy.
In high school basketball action, girls, Fayetteville down Culleoka 55-38. It was Summit, a 55-42 winner over Mount Juliet. Providence Christian down the Columbia Academy girls 56-39.
In boys action, Fayetteville defeated Culleoka 65-47. Summit with a 71-51 win over Mount Juliet, and Columbia Academy defeating Providence Christian 60-47.
High school wrestling action, Father Ryan dominated Independence yesterday, 74-6, the final score there. In NBA action, Memphis Grizzlies without John Morant defeated the Oklahoma City Thunder 152-79. We'll talk more about that later, but that is an NBA record for margin of victory. And in NHL action, it was the Boston Bruins 2, the Predators 0.
High school basketball action tonight. An old-time rivalry right here, old school. Columbia Central goes to Franklin the Lions will be taking on the Admirals. Also, Franklin Christian travels to Zion Christian. Hampshire hits the road to Brewston. Lawrence County hosts Hardin County. Lebanon travels to Summit, and Loretto goes to Collinwood.
Spring Hill hosting Nolensville tonight as well. Richland going to Mount Pleasant. Independence at home against Rockville. Santa Fe's head to Perry County. Summertown's going to be at Wayne County, and Columbia Academy will be at home against Webb Bell Buckle.
In high school wrestling tonight, Independence gets started at a tournament down at Huntsville High School. High school wrestling on Saturday, Independence continues in the Huntsville tournament. The Independence girls and the Summit girls will both be in action at West Creek, and Summit will be in the Mount Juliet duels. High school basketball on Saturday, Riverdale travels to Columbia Central. Richland hosts Riverside Christian. That game is at 5 o'clock. Riverdale goes to Columbia Central at 4 o'clock. At 6, Hickman County is at Summertown.
Junior college hoops action. Columbia State hosting Chattanooga State in a doubleheader on Saturday at 2 o'clock. It's the women, followed by the men. Scheduled for 4. In NHL action, the Nashville Predators are hosting Montreal tonight at 6 p.m. Game's supposed to be on NHL Network, so I'm not sure if it's going to be on Bally or not. Tomorrow night, it's Memphis Grizzlies NBA action. They'll travel to Dallas for a 7:30 tip, and that's going to do it for your Friday rundown. All right, so coaching changes, Mo. Let's start in football. This one might have a little, I guess, Middle Tennessee connection.
Perhaps.
As Colorado State, after just 16 games, Steve Adazio out. That's a little surprising.
It is a little surprising, but I'm sitting here looking at a story on Yahoo Sports. Investigation. Fired Colorado State coach Steve Adazio likely called black custodian boy.
Now we know the rest of the story.
He's fired on Thursday after his buyout dropped from $5 million to $3 million.
All righty.
There's a lot going on with Colorado State and Steve Adazio, and it's not just the 4-12 record. Apparently, he was also ejected from a football game earlier this year after receiving 2 unsportsmanlike conduct penalties in the first half. So there's a lot here, and sometimes the best thing to do in those situations is to just
get the heck out of
Dodge. Get a break. We need to go separate ways. So.
Yeah.
But the local tie to this is Page quarterback Jake McNamara is committed to Colorado State.
And has been for some time.
Committed back in the summer.
So not sure what he's been doing since then, but curious what he may be doing
now.
Currently, yeah. Would he and here's the thing. After the season that he's had, he might have a few, and on top of the fact that his brother just beat Ohio State, maybe some other colleges are going, perhaps this lineage, maybe
there's something to this.
Maybe there's something to this. So a lot of positive things happening for McNamara, and maybe this is just God saying, hey, buddy, Colorado State may not have been for you. It wasn't what we had in the plan.
That wasn't what is for you, and this may not be. And you know, to the point of the conversation that the three of us were having coming into Finley Stadium this morning, you said you don't know what he's been doing. A lot of guys, even though they are committed, continue to take recruiting visits. Some do not. I've not seen a whole lot of activity with Jake McNamara, so I don't know if he has been or not. But it's promising to become an interesting situation here.
Jake McNamara on Rivals.com listed as a 2-star quarterback, and he is obviously verbally committed to Colorado State. He has no visits on there. He Doesn't look like anybody else is recruiting him. He has the one offer. That's put it this way. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But after the season that he's had, I wouldn't be surprised if that changes.
Sure.
There are a lot of college coaches in this area who are thinking we could use him.
Yeah.
So
He has, I wouldn't call it a unique skill set, but he certainly has
a set of skills.
yeah, but he certainly has some skills that I would think would make him attractive to a lot of different programs.
He's just what? A little short.
Supposedly.
I don't have that's an issue that I have that I
Yeah.
just will
I understand.
get over.
Yeah.
Not the only coach out. Bronco Mendenhall resigns.
And in an article that I saw earlier today, he is the 24th coach since the beginning of this season to leave his position. He is the 9th coach since the end of the season to leave his position, which tells you just how crazy this season has been in terms of coaching tenures and coaching changes and that kind of thing.
Yeah, one school that doesn't have to worry about that is Notre Dame, who has, as of 8 o'clock this morning, elevated Marcus Freeman, former defensive coordinator, now head football coach. And curious if he's got his Vatican accent ready.
You know, we talked to David Ubben of The Athletic earlier this week, and we mentioned with the number of coaching changes that there's it almost feels like there's more coaching positions open than there are good coaches. And so you've seen some programs opt to go the coordinator route rather than going for a head coach at the Division I level in a lot of these positions.
Good for them.
Who else? Somebody else elevated. Oh, Brent Pry got the Virginia Tech job, former
Defensive
Penn State DC. You know, Notre Dame elevates Marcus Freeman. There have been a couple of other coordinators that have gotten jobs.
They turned the air on in here.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how hot it is.
Brent Venables has been mentioned as the
that deal's
Oklahoma
probably
guy.
almost done. I got a feeling.
So it's going to be interesting because it's probably easier to pry assistant coaches off of other staffs than it is to grab some head coaches for some of these spots.
And finally, hoops at Maryland. Mark Turgeon out from the Terps.
Mark Turgeon out. Danny Manning in.
I mean, that seems it's weird because I mean, Mark Turgeon's been there as long as I can remember. I don't even remember when he got hired. Yeah, I mean, he's been there for a while. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Well, especially this early in the year.
This early, yeah. Something must have happened.
Well, he resigned though.
Well, there you go.
Well,
it was mutual, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. All right. Grizzlies, NBA record, crazy. Oklahoma City had a bunch of people out as well, but Memphis was looking, they didn't have John Morant, so it's wild, man. When we come back, we got Chris Brooks, 615 Sports. Stick around after this.
Local sports talk you'll only find here. It's Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today. Live from the Lee Company studio with the Hall of Famer Mo Patton, here's Chris Yao.
Welcome back in Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today. Exactly.
Jeez.
I mean, it's colder than it needs to be.
Mhm.
Like a little air would have been fine because it is hot, but that just kind of got really cold really quick. I mean,
They just wanted to make sure that we appreciate
what's
not being in Cookville.
that may be it, man. And we are also watching Relative Justice on TV. It's fantastic. I love daytime TV. Daytime TV's fun. Oh man, but talking Blue Cross Bowl, Mo, we've done it so much. I mean, you and I have pretty well exhausted everything that we could have talked about. So we wanted to get
let's get somebody else.
a little fresh perspective.
Yeah.
And joining us now in the hot seat over there is Chris Brooks of 615 Preps. Chris, thanks for hanging out with us, man.
Guys, thank y'all for having me. First off, this seat's not that hot. The air conditioning's cooled off a little
It's
bit.
cool now.
But I want to go back to July when we were covering 7-on-7 at Riverdale. We all had lunch together. That was a scorcher of a day. And today on the field and during that 3H, so it felt exactly the same. At halftime, I found the last little bit of shade we could find on the field just to sit out there because it was hot. I mean, relative for December, obviously, but man. But the weather's been great here. I mean, you can't really complain about 75 degrees in December.
No,
wherever
you
you
cannot,
are.
nor will I.
No, not one bit. Not one bit. So it's been a great week so far. That, as far as that's concerned, the games on the field, not so much.
That's it.
I'm glad you said that because I have a number here. Average margin in the 4 games that we have seen to this point, 25.8.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that the games have went as they have because going into this week, we would have thought that there would have been a couple of closer games at least.
And it's not like there's a game that has skewed that.
No.
I mean, excuse me. Lipscomb beats CPA 27-0. Donaldson Christian beats Nashville Christian 28-7. That's 31-7.
If there was
McCallie beats MBA 28-7, right. And then this last game this morning, 45-14 Alcoa.
I think the Nashville Christian DCA game would have skewed it a little bit because I had that game close.
I had that game close as well.
Yeah, that was the surprising result of the first 4 games to me.
Yeah, and not necessarily that Donaldson Christian won it, but by such a large margin there. So so hopefully this next game, this South Pittsburgh McKenzie game, gets things going in the other direction in terms of close contests.
Yeah, because we want a good finish to this year. We don't want 9 blowouts. That'd be sad.
I don't think we're going to see 9 blowouts.
I don't think we will either. No, not at all. I mean, we look at tonight with Page and Powell as potentially one of the best games in the docket. But we've said that about a couple of games this week, and they've not been.
Well, between Page and Powell in the nightcap tonight and Oakland Summit tomorrow night, I think is going to be a thriller and possibly a last possession type ball game as well.
Speaking of tonight, and I don't know, there was a tweet. Have you heard about this tweet?
I may have known what you're talking about. I think I do.
JP, do we do? Okay, you're listening
has it
to the
pulled
audio.
up.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I just want to make sure there's not any foul language in it, but I want to hear, according to, well, I say according, there is a student media video that has
Student media
video that has made its rounds where some Page football players were talking about Walter Nolan, the 5-star defensive lineman
who is committed to Texas
A&M commit that will be playing for Powell tonight. And
before he visits UT tomorrow.
Before he goes to Tennessee tomorrow. I'm just curious what they had to say. JP, is it fitting to play? Okay. I just want to make sure that it's okay.
Fit to play.
Fit to play.
I have seen this video, and
it is fit to play.
Yeah. My first thought is, where's the bear? Because it's been poked.
Oh, the bear is
the
probably
6-something 325-pound bear.
It has a lot of stick marks all over its body. That particular bear.
Yeah, 6'5", 280.
Yeah,
6'5", 280 defensive lineman, 5-star All-American. You know, no big deal kind of guy.
Right.
Let's hear what the Page students
6'4", 325 according to Powell. Yes.
All right, Owen, this is more for you. Obviously, like everybody's kind of talking, it's been known. Powell has the #1 prospect in the nation on their defensive line. And so obviously that's like a big thing to be preparing for this week. How are you preparing for that? And how are you ready to kind of go into that game?
You know, I didn't really know about him before this. So we're going to put a couple of people on him. And I don't think he's really going to change our game plan that much.
Okay, so it's not horrible because if you don't
follow college football or college football recruiting, you may not have necessarily.
It wasn't a shot at Walter.
It wasn't like I don't know him.
Never heard of her.
Yeah,
right,
right. Yeah. So it wasn't as incendiary as I had initially thought it was, but
still.
It might not have been the best choice of words.
Yeah, I probably just would have said, hey, great player, looking forward to the challenge. Instead, you've now given Walter Nolan some bulletin board material.
And you've given Matt Lowe.
Yeah,
he don't need any. That's the thing.
And
especially when you're going into your first ever championship game. I mean, Owen Sachs, that's a pretty good lineman for Page who made that comment. But here's the thing. This team, they were lucky to even be here. They were lucky to even be here after last week.
Well,
that was a heck of a rally to get there, but I mean,
they put themselves in a heck of a position to have to make that rally.
Yeah.
Because again, we were both at the Summit Hendersonville game, and I had heard the score of 38-17 in the fourth quarter, and you're like, well, okay.
Good season.
But, exactly.
Yeah. And then 10 minutes later, what?
Excuse me?
You sure that's right?
Yeah. So it's been a heck of a year, and it culminates each year, obviously, in the Blue Cross Bowl, Chris. And we have, again, 5 more games to go?
Yes, 5.
And nearly halfway there. Looking forward to tonight and then tomorrow, of course. What do you think about all day Saturday? Got a lot of really good football games coming up tomorrow.
Yeah, Saturday should be a really strong finish. I'm curious about that 4A game with Tullahoma and Elizabethton. Yeah,
I think Elizabethton is beatable.
Definitely. I thought Greenville would beat them.
We all did.
So,
matter of fact, on TriStar Friday Night Live Countdown, I said, "Look, I'm rooting for Elizabethton, but Greenville's going to win this game." And
I mean, clearly Elizabethton is beatable because Greenville beat them earlier this year.
Like a drum.
I I wonder about teams that have never been here.
Against teams who are two-time defending state champions.
Yeah,
No,
because I mean, we saw it 2 years ago when Summit made their first trip against Knoxville Central, who was the defending state champion in 5A at that time. I just think this game can be awfully big if you're not careful. And I'm not sure how many teams have come in here making their first trip and won it.
right. And we saw a similar situation with East Nashville this morning. Not necessarily in the fact that they were overwhelmed by it, but they were just going up against Alcoa. And East Nashville, it didn't feel like they were too big. It was too big for them. They played.
No, it did not feel like the game was too
that
big
was
for
a
them.
fearless team that took the field from East Nashville this morning. I was really impressed by that for sure. Score wasn't what we thought, but
I was impressed by that, and I was impressed by the fact that the way they maintained their poise, even when a lot of things were going against them.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
and I think that's what it will take. You know, when you're a first-time team
Mhm.
making this appearance on this stage,
And I think that's kind of, for Paige's sake, that's where it's got to fall on Jake McNamara as a leader to just kind of rally the troops and say, hey, yeah, it's our first time here, but we've been in big games before. So, it's another game to us. That's kind of got to be the message tonight, I think.
Where's the good thing? Powell's never been here either.
This is true.
So it's kind of and we talked about this earlier. It is the most evenly matched game on paper that you could possibly have. I mean, they almost score the exact same amount of points. They return the same amount of starters. They have these, it's just every single thing is almost identical. So, that's not necessarily the case for Tullahoma Elizabethton, because Elizabeth's been here the last couple of years. They won it 2 years in a row. Tullahoma never having been here. But the difference between them and that Summit team 2 years ago is, as good as Destin and Keaton Wade were, they were sophomores.
Yeah.
They were 15 years old.
Yeah.
And Tullahoma doesn't have to deal with that with a senior quarterback. So it's going to be a really good football game. Of course, 10 a.m. on a Saturday morning. Good luck.
and the logistical nightmare that presents.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it can be a struggle. But, of course, then you've got the 2A game, which features five-star recruit Ty Simpson against Hampton. He takes his Westview Chargers up against Hampton. That's going to be a really good football game too. I think Hampton's going to bring a pretty good crowd.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too. I also heard Tullahoma's going to bring a bunch.
Oh,
no farther than it is.
Yeah,
guaranteed.
I mean,
90-minute drive. Yeah,
it's farther than South Pittsburgh or McCallie, but it's closer than pretty much
Westview.
Everybody else.
it's just an hour and a half trip. I mean, yeah, they're just bring quite a few.
They make longer trips than that in region play.
Yep.
So
definitely,
literally.
Yeah.
I mean, to Lawrence County, can you?
Yeah.
From Tullahoma
to Montgomery Central.
Montgomery Central.
Yeah.
No, this is nothing. And they bring crowds everywhere they go. But the first time Tullahoma's ever been in a state title game, you can bet the entirety of that town will be here.
Yeah. What is Finley Stadium? Like 24,000, I think. Is that?
It's close.
Okay.
I think there will be half that here.
I believe that. I believe that. Yeah.
So I think tonight's going to be a good crowd. I think tomorrow morning's going to be a good crowd, and I think tomorrow night we'll have a fairly decent crowd. I think, unfortunately, 6A in Tennessee is an unfortunate situation because a lot of times you have a lot of transients and a lot of transplants, so you don't really have that community feel.
Right.
So you don't have the entire city coming to support you.
Yeah.
But
the Summit may be a case where that might be a little different because being in Spring Hill as opposed to Franklin or Brentwood, you might get a little bit more of the community.
No, I promise you.
You don't think so?
No, I worked there for 4 years in their newspaper. So, we'll talk about them in a minute.
The star power, though, I think may bring a little more.
That's going to be the thing. Is I think you're going to see a lot of people who aren't
a lot
necessarily
of casual fans.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
good.
And folks who couldn't get tickets to the SEC championship game in Atlanta might decide to just come check out a handful of SEC commits.
Yeah.
Why not? Hey, Chris, man, tell everybody where they can find the work that you're doing here. Follow everybody's work that's going on. I mean, what we're doing at Main Street Preps is great, but Chris does a fantastic job. Your videos, man, are just phenomenal.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Our group does a lot of hard work on Friday nights and during the week, too. 615preps.com, 615preps on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. all of it. We're there. We're there for football season. We'll take a little break after we get done this week, and then we'll start putting our all region teams together after that. So
grinding.
Never
Chris
stops.
Brooks is.
Hey, sweet hat.
Yes.
Love it. That is a phenomenal hat.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we won't get nearly as good merch from the stadium series as we did the Winter Classic.
You and I discussed this a little bit yesterday. I have still not recovered from that discussion because I almost threw up.
It's awful.
It's bad.
Oh, man. Chris Brooks, 615 Preps. When we come back, we're going to be talking to Justin Lamb, the man, the myth, the legend himself, as we talk Summit and Oakland. Just some more. You know, we've not talked about him enough. So
well, the good thing is I don't know that you can talk about
you
it.
can't. You can't. So looking forward to it. We'll be right back on Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today after this.
Local sports talk you'll only find here. It's Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today. Live from the Lee Company studio with the Hall of Famer Mo Patton, here's Chris Yao.
Welcome back in to Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. We are in the mobile Lee Company studio in the corner of the media workroom here at Finley Stadium, at the site of the Blue Cross Bowl football state championships. Looking forward to so much exciting football yet to come. It's going to be a blast. One of those games that we have talked about, are talking about, we'll continue to talk about is that Fast Stop game of the week, Mo, and of course the undefeated Oakland Patriots and the undefeated Summit Spartans will clash on a collision course tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, right here at the Finley Stadium, home of the UTC Mocs. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be a blast. This game will also air on these same airwaves
Well, in fact,
in Columbia on 101.7.
For those of you listening, it will start on 103.7 WKRM until the Alabama-Georgia SEC championship game ends, at which point it will then simulcast on both 103.7 and 101.7. So if you tune into 101.7 and you're hearing Alabama, go to 103. Just letting you know.
You're telling me the Summit Spartans can't trump the Alabama Crimson Tide? They've been in the SEC championship game 400 times.
One would think.
Well, apparently not.
Terrible. Who do I need to call? Where's Clayton at?
That voice was the voice of Justin Lamb, friend of the show and friend of Main Street Murray. Broke out a guest column for us this week.
Came out of retirement for you, Mo.
Man,
those
and we
fingers,
appreciate
those
it.
fingers don't type unless he's got something to say.
No, well, and there's
He has
something
to.
said for that. Yeah. So in the aftermath, Summit's 28-7 state semifinal win over Hendersonville last week, Justin was moved to do a little writing, and we were more than pleased to be the outlet for said writing. And I think it's gotten a lot of attention and accolades, and well deserved. Justin kind of has a unique perspective on Summit football and Summit athletics, having seen it from the very start. His wife Sarah is currently principal, now in her 8th year as principal at Summit, and has been in administration at Summit since it opened in 2011. So
since the very beginning, her and Dr. Farmer and Chad Kirby, the first 3 hires at Summit High School.
Well,
many moons ago.
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
2 out of 3 ain't bad. Kirby's still there. Baseball coach, AD. Of course, Dr. Farmer went to administration throughout the county. Williamson County is now the principal again at Freedom Middle School in Franklin. So obviously he is very excited. I think he'll be here tomorrow as well. And
as a former Freedom parent, I'm happy he's there.
He's doing a good job there. He was a perfect fit for that school.
Yeah. Justin, you've seen this program evolve. You mentioned in your article that they won their first home game under Brian Coleman. From where this thing has come to making 3 consecutive state championship game appearances in less than barely 10 years, I guess. Having been around sports as long as you have, you know that's a pretty amazing feat, regardless of what happens tomorrow night.
Well, I was telling Chad Kirby the other night, we were talking, I don't know if it was where we were talking. I said, man, you remember when we were at freaking Holewall in Lewis County and getting our brains beat in, when they were just sophomores and freshmen, and to look at where they're at right now, this program, how far it's come in really an incredible short amount of time. It's amazing. It doesn't happen very often. I mean, few and far, Independence struck lightning in a bottle there, won a title early in their existence. But from what they've done, where they came from to where they are now, the little school they could, I guess, from something to nothing, which was their motto from the beginning of the school to where they are now. I mean, it's amazing. It's a testament to the community, to the kids, to the coaches who poured into this program that, had no pedigree, that was just a school up on the hill on Twin Lakes Road, and it turned now a statewide football powerhouse in 3 straight championship games. It's just incredible, and a testament to all those involved in the program.
And the thing is, it's not just the folks that are involved in it now. I mean, these guys are kind of reaping the benefits. This is a build up.
Oh yeah. When Brian took this thing over, he took over for Scott Kiesler when it had gone poorly, after a couple of years, and Brian had that dream. He thought turned Summit into a football powerhouse. I remember the first time I ever met him, I was at Forest High School for something else, for work related stuff, and he was leaving to go interview at Summit, and he was telling us this little stuff about what he was going to do, in the interview, and what he thought his vision was for Summit High School. And I was like, man, I don't know. I mean, this is a new school, it's pretty big aspirations to have. And then, from what that little dream turned into, of course it helps you get, as it's been mentioned before, you got generational talent in the Wade kids. I mean, you could see that from when those kids were in 7th grade. They were dominant then. They've been dominant every year since then. And to be able to put that together, because it takes more than just those kids. I mean, you got to have a foundation of supporting cast around that, the offensive linemen, the DBs, the way everybody's played. I mean, it's all come together in a perfect storm. And to be in the championship game for 3 straight years, it's just, the first year you're
come
kind
from
of
0-10.
I mean, we weren't very good. I mean, you probably went to the game. We just weren't very good. We just couldn't compete. And to see where we came from getting blown out at home wall on a random Friday night in front of nobody to playing tomorrow night, and probably it's going to be one of the biggest crowds to see a high school football game in Tennessee in quite some time. It's incredible.
I remember in 2011 when Scott Kiesler got that thing started, and a lot of times first-year schools will play a partial schedule, or they'll play a junior varsity schedule, or whatever it is. The decision was made that Summit was going to play a full 10-game varsity schedule in its first year, and clearly things went about the way you would have expected.
Yeah, but freshmen and sophomores playing.
And it was like, why? But looking back, you kind of feel like that kind of started to build things. That set the foundation. It set a level of expectations. Now, unfortunately, Scott wasn't able to carry those out, or they didn't come to fruition under Scott. But you certainly feel like that set the tone.
I mean, it showed they weren't going to back down to anybody, which is sort of, you can talk about full circle. You got that situation where they weren't afraid to go ahead and play against juniors and seniors in that year. And now we come all the way now to this, where you're playing a national powerhouse in Oakland, a team that everybody says, crown them at the beginning of the year, the best team in the state. And they probably are the best team in the state. But if you were to talk to the Summit kids, and you guys, every one of them, you can call any of them randomly right now, they're not scared. They're not intimidated by playing Oakland. They think they're on the same level. They think they can play with Oakland. And I do too.
Well, what's funny is Destin said that very thing Friday night after the Hendersonville game. It's like, yeah, we're playing Oakland, but we're not scared. We're not nervous.
Oakland's also playing Summit.
They wanted Oakland.
Well, he didn't say that, but I mean, that's kind of where you were left. It's like they got to play us too.
Yeah. And this was the matchup. Like, if Maryville had won, I mean, it'd be great. Everybody would be excited. Don't get me wrong, but this is what everybody wanted since the publications and previews came out in the summertime. You wanted to see Summit at Oakland in Chattanooga on a Saturday night to cap the high school football season. That's what you're going to get.
I'm excited. So let's go back in time, Justin, to Ty Carter.
Oh yeah,
gets injured.
Great player. I remember that.
Okay, game. He goes down, and George Odumegwu steps into his role and helps that team to a quarterfinal finish. Obviously, losing to Beach in the quarterfinals. The next year, tough year. I think George got hurt. I think the next year, and Ashton Kelly is the quarterback, and I guess little freshman Destin Wade on the sidelines.
Yeah, Ashton got hurt.
And Ashton gets hurt.
During the middle. I can't remember if it was week 5, week 6. I can't remember. And I could look it up on my phone, but I don't want to waste your time. But he did get hurt, and then Destin stepped up, and man, he played.
Next thing you know,
lights out.
It's like,
and should have won that first round playoff game. They got beat, had a fumble going into the end zone that would have won the game in double overtime or triple overtime at Beach. I remember it.
I was there. I remember.
It was cold. Remember, everybody was crowded on the field. Like, everybody was down on that one end zone. It was
right in the corner of the end zone. It was.
They're playing Mo Bamba over and over again. I can still hear it. It was so loud.
And it just an incredible turn of events from and in 5A, Brian had that team they had been in the quarterfinals twice, I think.
Yeah.
And then lost to Beach again in the first round, but that week 5 when Ashton goes down and Destin Wade steps in. Watching him grow, because you went from our starting quarterback has transferred to our rival school.
Yep. And
now we're playing a guy who really probably shouldn't be playing quarterback at this level, to a freshman who turns into an all-world superstar. It's incredible to think about how that trajectory happened.
And he played so well almost from the jump. I mean, there were growing pains, of course, but the way he was able to step up and lead that program, and probably, honestly, if Keaton doesn't break his collarbone during the fourth quarter of that game, that whole overtime situation probably plays out differently. Remember, he got hurt.
I remember
at the very end on a crossing route. We were driving to score there late in the fourth quarter, and you could have had him on the field there at the end. That might have been a bigger difference, in that game, but you could just tell that night. Of course, I'd be lying if I said I knew they'd go to 3 straight championship games after that night. But I remember leaving that game thinking, we've arrived. Like, this is the real deal. Like, these kids can play, and they're going to be really good, and we're
They're
going to be
as
really
good
good.
as what we've seen the last couple of years in those quarterfinal.
Because in middle school, like, I remember when we'd go to all the games because my son was on the middle school team there, and we'd always laugh, Kirby and I, because we always sat together at the games. And like the get out of jail free card is give it to the Wade boys on the outside. We need a touchdown, just go ahead, they'll score. It doesn't matter. Like, we can do whatever we want to. When it's time to score a touchdown, give it to one of the Wade boys. They're going to score. And honest to God, that sort of played itself out. Through high school.
That's kind of still the get out of jail free card for Summit.
Really
and you have to give credit, I believe, to Brian Coleman for recognizing that get out of jail free card and adjusting what he does, particularly offensively, in light of.
I mean, he was an old school wing tee, inside handoffs, like watching Colin Wood play with Jonathan Ward back in the day. Some of you are probably not old enough to know that story, but I mean, they ran that wing tee to perfection. Then Summit ran the wing tee very well, but now he's adapted. He calls it the sling tee. I love that. I texted him that night after I saw him say that on TV. I was like, "That's awesome."
He said it on TV because he's never said that.
That's a good.
He said it. He said
he's
in the
saving his best quotes for TV. Huh?
He said in the post game after the Hendersonville game the other night, he called it the sling tee. I texted him. I rewatched the game when I got home. I said, "Sling tee. We should have been using that all along."
Oh well.
But I mean, you look at his stats,
it'll get some use this weekend.
He's thrown 1,300 yards. I mean, they talk about, well, they run too much. I mean, he's thrown for 1,300 yards, 17 touchdowns, 1 interception. I mean, the kid can throw the football.
Yeah,
he can. He picks his spots and throws it well.
QBR rating of 200.
Yeah, I was going to say, so he doesn't throw it often, but he doesn't throw it unless he knows it can be caught.
Yeah. He picks his spots. I mean,
it's incredible.
His deep ball is, I'm telling
pretty.
You, it's Division I caliber.
And when you can pull it down and do the damage that he does as well, that helps.
Well, I think it buys him more time in the pocket too, because they'd rather have him bottled up and take your chances him throwing the ball. Whereas if you're going to let him run it, well, you know how that ends. It ends with 29 rushing touchdowns so far.
Man, it's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to it. Again, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central, right here on WKOM after the Alabama game, but WKRM 103.7 to start. You can catch, we'll be on before that, right, JP? Well, we have 30 minutes before. So it's 6 o'clock Central. You can catch Mo, JP, and myself, and then Mike Epley and Matt Rogers. And will you be on the broadcast or will you be on the field?
I'll be on the field.
All right. So Matt Rogers and Mike Epley on the call. They'll have a 30-minute pregame show as well. Looking forward to it. Justin, thanks so much, man.
Appreciate y'all having me on. Thanks for letting me run that column with you guys. I really appreciate that.
We appreciate you giving it to us.
Man, looking forward to it. Tomorrow night, Summit, Oakland. Exactly what we wanted. When we come back, we're going to talk a little college football, so stick around right after this on Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today.
Local high school sports and beyond. It's on Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today.
Welcome back in Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Day, presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint, coming to you from the Lee Company Studio, the mobile version here at Finley Stadium, site of the 2021 Blue Cross Bowl State Football Championships. And we have talked a lot of high school football in hour number one. Now we move to the college level as we get ready for championship weekend, Mo.
Some interesting matchups too. Going to be a lot of fun to try to keep up with some of these games because we'll be a little busy tomorrow.
We will be a little busy, but here's the thing. Tomorrow's if-then statements are to be chaotic, and I'm looking forward to some chaos, man.
No, not you.
Me, no, I don't even like chaos. They don't call me Chaos Chris for nothing. How do we get to the four best teams without any? We have to put this team in because of this. How do we get to the four best teams? What's the scenario?
The scenario. Well, first of all, who are the four best teams?
I'm asking. I don't know. I mean, to me,
I think that's part of the point, right?
Yeah.
Who are the four best teams?
I mean, who are the four best teams? I think
I truly believe that the four best teams are the top four teams in this week's college football rankings.
See, I think Oklahoma State is better than Alabama.
Okay, then you're going to get two different answers because to me, like I said, I think Georgia, Michigan, Alabama, Cincinnati are the four best teams. And so Georgia beats Alabama.
So you need Alabama to beat Georgia.
Well, yeah, yeah. Basically.
Okay, interesting.
Because Alabama with two losses falls out. That's a good point.
Right. So you need Alabama to win, Cincinnati to win, Michigan to win, and Oklahoma State to lose to ensure.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think Baylor's jumping into the top four if they beat Oklahoma State, right?
And depending on who else.
What else happens?
I'm just saying in that scenario. In
that scenario,
they're not jumping into the top four if they beat Oklahoma State.
No.
So
I would, in that scenario, if those are the best four teams, then Alabama would need to beat Georgia, which I don't really think is going to happen.
Well, I mean, we'll talk about it later.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I'm just, I'm sitting here thinking, how do we get to the best college football playoff?
Mm-hmm.
Cincinnati being in the college football playoff is a positive for everybody, right?
I think for the long-term health of college football and the college football playoff, I think Cincinnati getting in is the best thing, because if Cincinnati doesn't get in this year, if Cincinnati beats Houston and doesn't get in, then
that's a valid if.
Yeah.
Then I think the group of five
might as well just give up.
Just disengages from the whole thing.
Yeah, you'll never get a team that is more qualified from the group of five than what you have right now with Cincinnati. You're not.
Especially if they don't expand.
Yeah.
Now, if Houston somehow beats Cincinnati, and it's not a big somehow, I don't think, but if Houston beats Cincinnati, then they really have nothing to complain about.
That's right. I mean, you can't lose, and especially if Oklahoma State were to win. I mean, even Baylor, if Baylor were to win, I feel like. So I'm not sure that I don't mind Alabama beating Georgia if Cincinnati's going to be 4, because I would rather Cincinnati play Alabama than Georgia because I think they have a better chance at winning. But there's neither. Here
Well,
nor
but the question then becomes: does Alabama go to number 1?
They
if
have
beat-
to, right?
You
Or
don't
they
think-
or they would go to 2 and Georgia to 4.
Well,
They'd
you
still
got
play-
a you got a
they'd still play
one-loss
Cincinnati
Alabama.
either way.
Michigan has one loss.
Right.
They're good. They've had Alabama ahead of Michigan all season until Michigan beat Ohio State. I think if they beat Georgia, Alabama's name gets them to number 1.
I think so.
I don't think there's any question.
So Michigan doesn't go to number 1.
No, I think they jump everybody and go to 1. Michigan stays 2, and you get
Georgia at 3.
Georgia 3 and
And
Cincinnati,
Cincinnati
4
4.
because I don't think they want Alabama, Georgia
No.
back to back.
No, they don't.
I don't think anybody wants that.
No.
They might go, depending on how close it is, it might be Alabama, Georgia, Michigan, Cincinnati.
Could be. It could be.
I mean,
It could
So
be.
if it's a field goal game.
yeah.
Yeah, it could be.
I mean,
And it doesn't matter.
it
But does Michigan? How you going to drop Michigan?
if it's a field goal game and you think Georgia, everybody in the world thinks Georgia's
Because
the
you
best
think
team in the
Georgia's better than
country,
Michigan.
Yeah, you clearly think Georgia's better than Michigan. So
You don't think those? The thing is, there's not that great a difference in 2 and 3.
there's no
other
difference.
than
The color
the
of your
look
jersey
of it. Well,
and the sideline,
well, and the looks of it. But I feel
and
like
who gets to call the coin toss.
I feel like Big Ten folks would really be upset if Michigan were to win
Oh,
the Big Ten championship and fall.
Well, of course they
in
would.
the
they
rankings.
might be upset, but I
Yeah.
don't think the committee
I-
cares if they're upset.
No.
Well, clearly the committee doesn't care if anybody's upset.
And
Or
Barta,
should they be?
and Barta being Iowa's
Ooh.
AD, that could be interesting.
Well, I would imagine, I think it's fair to say that he probably recuses himself when conversations about Michigan and Big Ten schools come up.
I'm not so concerned about the conversations. I'm concerned about him having to go out
there and explain it.
after the fact.
Yeah,
And him being the guy that's got to
Well,
take the
face the
brunt.
slings and arrows
he
from
There
the
will
Big
be plenty.
Ten.
that's his job. I mean,
You
Yeah.
took the job knowing what you were
That's-
getting yourself
that's
into.
part of
buddy.
it.
Oh
Part of
man,
it.
it's just it. I don't think there's any question that Cincinnati wins. They've got to be in, and no matter what. But if Cincinnati loses, and I guess that would make them not one of the 4 best teams, right?
Yeah.
So then you've got to figure out who are the 4 best teams. And you've got to figure out where does Notre Dame fit without their coach.
Does Notre Dame fit without their coach
I don't
and
think,
without having played this weekend?
I don't think Brian Kelly had a hill of beans to do with the success of Notre Dame. I mean, he had some, don't get me wrong, but I mean, I'm talking about when you're making head coach decisions versus your assistant coaches have been coaching and none of them have gone anywhere. The entire coaching staff is intact.
Everybody's there except Brian Kelly.
Brian Kelly.
Here's my thing. Notre Dame's not playing this weekend. Notre Dame's not playing this weekend because they're not in a conference, which is a conscious decision on the part of their administration. So, to me, wherever they are right now, which is what, 6th?
They are 6th.
Mm-hmm.
Unless at least 2 teams in front of them lose.
Well, 2 teams are going to, not going to.
They'd have to be the
But if
next
Cincinnati did,
2
at
teams.
least, yeah. Oklahoma State's got to lose too, right?
It had to be Oklahoma
Yeah,
State
and
and
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati. It had to be those 2 teams.
Specifically.
Specifically, it has to be those 2 teams because if,
Not
if
necessarily.
Georgia loses,
Well, what if Michigan loses?
if Michigan,
Not necessarily, because if Alabama loses, they're probably out.
probably,
Yeah.
probably.
If Cincinnati and Alabama lose, I think Oklahoma State and Notre Dame get in.
But you have to have 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to have 2.
You do have to have 2
And
because they can't jump
and
without
Cincinnati's
people
got to be
losing.
one of them.
Yes,
Right, because
Yes.
of Cincinnati's win
Win
over
over
them.
them.
correct.
Huh.
Yeah. So Cincinnati and at least one other team has to lose for Notre Dame.
That
to
not
get
named
in
Georgia. Georgia's the only team that can
Correct.
lose
and still
and
be
still
in.
get in. Still
Yes.
get in because Georgia's in. Georgia's not falling
So
out.
Cincinnati and either Oklahoma State, Alabama, or Michigan.
Let's
at
just
first.
throw this out there because it's not going to happen. But Alabama boat races Georgia.
Okay.
35-10.
Oh.
No, Georgia does not fall out.
No.
Really?
No,
Mm-mm.
under no circumstance does Georgia fall out.
Yeah.
Not if Oklahoma State boat races.
No,
Baylor?
because if something
They've
like that,
been at number
Yeah.
one pretty much the entire time.
yeah, and if something happens
they
like
ain't
that
played
happens,
nobody.
yeah, but if something happens like that, it would be, people would get hurt. There would have to be like 8 turnovers that just haven't happened. It would be one of those games. It's a fluke. It would be a fluke.
They are the number one team.
It would be a fluke.
It's their only loss. You're going to drop a one-loss Georgia out?
If you just got boat raced,
Mm-mm.
boat
No.
raced.
No, they've been clearly number one since they got
You're
to
right.
that spot.
It's not going to happen. But no, I mean,
I kind of wish it would now. I'd like to see what happened.
they're not going to drop out. You're not going to drop the number one team out of the top 4 over one loss.
I mean, I'm basing
No
it
matter
on,
how bad it is.
Okay, but here's what I'm basing this on. I'm basing this on the fact that a lot of people don't think Georgia's played anybody worth the crap. Okay, I'm not saying they haven't. I'm just saying a lot of people think that. And then you say, well, the only good team that they've played all year
Blew them out.
kicked their rear ends. Why do we want to see that again? Why don't we want to see? I'm not saying that they should. I'm just saying there's an argument to be made for Oklahoma State, a Big 12 champion, to get in.
Well, what do you classify as a good team? I mean, because but here's the thing: Georgia has beaten because of their lopsided scores.
Sure,
they've made teams not look good.
A lot of
teams that are good.
They made them not
Ole
look
Miss,
good. Yeah,
i.e. Arkansas.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing.
I mean, what's a good team?
I'm not saying that they haven't played anybody. I'm just saying that's the.
Well, you did say that.
No,
but
I'm saying that's what people are saying. That's what people around college football and on Twitter are saying, right? Georgia
people are saying. Where have we heard that phrase before?
But let me tell you one thing, and you'll hear when I say this, you'll be like, "Oh, yeah, you're right." Alabama breaks teams. Georgia has broken teams.
That's correct.
Georgia broke Arkansas for a month.
Mm-hmm.
The entire month of October, they were just they
It took them 4 games to get back to.
They couldn't have beat.
They lost 3 in a row.
Uh-huh. Yeah, they were awful, and that was because of Georgia.
Yep.
That had nothing to do with how bad Arkansas was. Because
Kentucky,
Kentucky, they broke Kentucky. So I mean, to say they haven't played anybody, if those 2 teams hadn't played Georgia, they might be.
That's my point. That to go up against the argument that they haven't played anybody,
right?
They played so well. Their defenses looked so good that they've made those teams not look good. When you play Georgia,
when you make good teams look not good,
exactly,
you're doing something.
Yes.
And then for them to continue to look bad because you destroyed their confidence and their will to live for 4 weeks.
You're penalized by your own success.
Right.
That's
really
the case. That's how good and far above everyone else Georgia has been. Now, are they an all-time? I think their defense may be an all-time defense.
Yes.
I think the stats point that out. But there's always been that little question mark about offense. And so I don't know if that's ever going to give them the title of the greatest team of all time, but they're clearly the best team in the country.
I just don't know that
they got a chance.
I don't know that a team that has Stetson Bennett at quarterback can ever be one of the greatest teams of all time.
I think that's
fixing to find out.
That's the thing is that offense and
Alabama's defense is good, really good. Alabama's defense is going to put pressure, just like Clemson's defense did. That defensive line from Clemson, which again, Stetson Bennett wasn't the quarterback, JT Daniels was. So there's that. I think we're going to find out Saturday just how good this Georgia team is. I think they can be among the greatest teams of all time.
This is the litmus test for them.
Yep.
No question. You are correct.
Defensively, not so much, but offensively, it absolutely is. We're going to get you our picks. We have 10 games. We're going to get to them. On the other side of the break, we'll break down all the conference championship games right after this. So please stick around on Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. Back to the Mobile League Company studio at Finley Stadium right after this.
covering the teams you care about. It's Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today. Once again, live from the Lee Company studio with the Hall of Famer Mo Patton. Here's Chris Yao.
Welcome back in Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. We are here at Finley Stadium. Side of the Blue Cross Bowl, getting ready for this Friday night finale. After we leave you, it will be Page and Powell. It's going to be exciting. Again, tomorrow, if you are listening to the Summit game or looking for the Summit game on the airwaves, 103.7 WKRM will have the pregame and whatever. It will continue running throughout the entirety of the game, but also on 101.7 WKOM, you will hear Alabama and Georgia until the conclusion of that game, at which time you will then hear Mike Epley and Matt Rogers and the Class 6A state title game. Guys, always exciting when we get a chance to go through our picks, and I am looking forward to it. But before we do that, folks, you know what it means when it's Friday. And Fast Stop Friday is the exciting part of hour 2. I don't have any specific thing to talk about.
No talking points today.
That's right. But we will tell you this, that the holiday season starting up, they are still hiring at Fast Stop. So if you're several part-time, full-time positions available throughout the Middle Tennessee region in Columbia, Lawrenceburg, Centerville, Dixon, especially in Dixon, hiring quite a few people there apparently. But also don't forget about Fast Stop perks. You know, if you haven't started using it, you should definitely be doing that. It's really easy to sign up. Just download the Fast Stop Perks app. You can sign up on the app, and you can continue to track your progress on said application. So that's always a lot of fun. You can earn 2 points or 2 cents on every dollar you spend on gas, and that adds up a lot quicker than you realize. So looking forward to it. Again, you can get up to a whole dollar per gallon off gas. So it's going to be a lot of great perks. If you get on the Sundrop kit over here. If you get on that Sundrop perk, you get a free one every 7 you buy. So that's what I like to do. Don't forget about their hot coffee or iced coffee right now, I guess. I don't know what
That's true.
I don't know what the weather's like in Columbia, but
You might want a little iced coffee.
Iced coffee may be the way to go.
Yep.
So that's pretty exciting. You can pick up some chicken at Mama Jane's Kitchen and potato wedges, barbecue sandwiches, all of that. And, of course, you can do it all in a drive-through. So there you go.
There you go.
Fast Stop Friday. All right. Jonathan Paul.
Yes, sir.
It's time to
Is it
take the
time?
keys as I flip them to you.
All right. So, to get into our picks, of course, I always want to recap how we did last week. All right. Yeah, let me turn you back on. Sorry.
Yeah, of course.
By the way, how about this guy? Celebrity over here.
Celebrity.
Celebrity.
Did you
Dude,
sign an autograph or
Dude
what?
can't go anywhere.
No autographs.
Oh,
Autographs. No.
Can't,
Cash only.
there's a sign on the door that says no autographs.
No autographs.
No
There you go.
autographs. No.
All right. So, last week.
Flat items only.
Last week, Chris, the Sundrop Kid with a jolt of
Another.
caffeine, 6-4, above 500
2 weeks in a row.
I'm impressed. I'm proud of you, my friend. Proud of you. That
Did that
gets
3
you.
times in a row,
Yep.
and you know what that's called?
A winning
streak.
streak.
Yeah.
It
It
has
has happened
happened
before.
Yes. You keep climbing. I say that before I give you a record. You keep climbing. You're now up to 50 and 80.
I'll take it. Where we started from the bottom. Now we're
Yep.
here. Still at
Mo.
the bottom.
Mo has been Mr. Jeff Fisher, 500. 5-5.
Better than under
Six-
500.
that's right. He's 61 and 69. All right. So
Nice.
doing well. I had a good week. I was 6-4 last week, so I'm up now to 68 and 62. Very excited about that. Very excited about that. 6-4 last
Yeah,
week.
we know.
You're like in the 96th percentile on ESPN's pick 'em.
97.
I knew it was close.
But yes, thank you for noticing.
Like, and here's the thing: you're only 6 games over 500.
That's right. That's
But
right.
in the world of picking against the spread,
Yep.
that's really unusual. So
Yeah.
there you
Yeah,
go.
it is. Yeah.
97th, but who's counting?
counting?
right?
Definitely not
Who's
96.
counting?
Oh man.
All right. We're starting off.
We got 3 games in this segment that I couldn't tell you who plays anybody.
All right. It is championship week. And we start off with Conference USA Championship. This is tonight, by the way. We got a couple of Friday night games. Western Kentucky 8-4 in the season at UTSA 11-1. By the way, they dropped out of the rankings after their loss to North Texas. They 11-1. This is going to be in San Antonio at the Alamo Dome tonight at 7:00 Central on CBS Sports Network. The Roadrunners
And the Hilltoppers.
The Roadrunners. Is that right?
Is that right?
They are, in fact, a 1.5 point dog. A home dog.
At home. I had to double check that one. Yeah, 1.5 point dog. Another home dog, Mo, that you're probably not going to pick.
You know I love me some home dogs. You know,
You love me some hot dogs. You haven't been loving home dogs much lately.
Well, I'm taking this one for 2 reasons. One,
he ain't picking Western.
I'm
no
not
matter
picking
what.
Western no matter what. But 2, I mean,
He's like Monte Mack.
no matter
Don't
what.
pick Western no
No
matter what.
Yeah. I've just been really impressed by the way this Texas San Antonio team has played all year, and
Except the last 2 weeks. They've struggled the last 2
they've
weeks.
struggled.
They should have
but-
lost to UAB. They did lose last week.
But I think they will get themselves. They'll get right this week.
It's a get-right game?
It's a get right game
Okay.
for UTSA.
Okay.
I like the Roadrunners here.
Yeah, nothing like a get-right game against your personal rival.
No doubt. 100 miles of hate, baby.
It spans the whole country.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
All right. I haven't made my picks yet, and I guess I need to do that since we got Friday games. So let me just get to the pick 'em and start making my picks.
Yep,
right?
make them as we go here.
Make
Yep.
them as we go. I'm going to go with the Hilltoppers, and here's why. Again, as I told you last week, they've got the best quarterback in the country. You're not talking about Bailey Zapp, and they get the win over the Roadrunners.
Okay. 75% of those picking are on the home dog. And you would think that. UTSA, one of the last teams to lose in the country. They're at home, conference championship. And yet they're a dog. Why is that? People are, oh, well, of course they're going to win. They're at home. 1.5 points. Basically a pick 'em. Well, Western Kentucky, obviously, according to Vegas, is 4.5 points better. than
Despite
UTSA.
losing to them already this year.
That's correct. Only 25% are on the Hilltoppers. Those two things combined sells me on the Hilltoppers.
I'll tell you this.
Mhm.
And I'm
Western.
just going to say this.
Sorry, and I'm a Blue Raider, but I got to go with.
Okay.
No, you're not.
And if this week,
but I'm winning this.
if yesterday was any indication, whoever won the first game is going to win the rematch. But I'm still going Western. You got it, but that's something you can
true.
You can look
It's
at.
true.
All right.
All right. Up next, we are going to go to the Pac-12 championship game that is tonight. Oregon, ranked 10th in the country, 10-2 at 17th ranked Utah. This is tonight, 8 Central on ABC. 3.5 point favorite for Utah. They beat them, of course, handily in the first meeting at Utah.
Just a couple of weeks ago, right?
Yep, it sure was. So it knocked Oregon out of the college football playoff conversation. Rematch. This is in Las Vegas, by the way. I'm assuming at Allegiant Stadium. Is that what they call it, where the Raiders play?
Mhm.
I think that's where they're playing. So, Mo,
Oh, that's cool.
Ducks, Utes, the rematch.
You know, you guys made the point when picking this first game that you didn't really think Oregon had anything to play for. And I, of course, picked Oregon, and I was wrong. So I'm going to kind of I'm going to coattail off of your thoughts going into that first game, and I'm going to take Utah here, especially as a 3.5-point favorite.
Yeah. So about that, I really, to be honest with you, after what Oregon did last week, it feels like they're on a kind of a warpath to the Rose Bowl, and they do have something to play for. Obviously, 1, revenge; 2, a Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I got the Ducks.
62% are on the Ducks, only 64, only 36 on Utes. So typically, my scheme, if you want to call it that, would be to go with the lesser of the picks, to go with where the money's going away from, right?
Well,
a
lot of folks are going on Utah because the line is down to 2.5.
Yeah. I'm going to switch up because I'm like you. Revenge and the Rose Bowl. And I think Oregon's playing better right now.
Me too.
So I like, and they're a dog.
What was the final score? 38-7?
It was a
It was a blowout. Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
pretty bad.
Okay.
One of those
All right.
flukish things.
It better be a fluke. If we got if we got any hope, it better have been a fluke.
Shimmy, despite Mo just calling scoreboard. Hello. What was that again?
Fluke. Okay.
Oregon. I like Oregon to cover there.
38-7.
All right. The Big 12 championship game. Number 9 Baylor 10-2 at or versus number 5 Oklahoma State. They are also they are 11-1 on the season. And this game is where are they playing this? They're playing it in Dallas, I believe, in Arlington.
Jerry's World.
Yep. And it's noon Central Saturday on ABC. And the Cowboys 6.5-point favorites in this one.
6.5 kind of concerns me. I want to take Oklahoma State. I'm going to take Oklahoma State, but I won't be surprised if I'm wrong. I think Oklahoma State may win the ball game. I think they may not win it by 6. They certainly won't win it by 6.5.
There's that.
They may not win it by 6, but I'm going to take them.
I'm with you, Mo. It's a tough pick, but I'm going to go with the Pokes because I think this is their moment.
I like Oklahoma State. Yeah, I think they're just the class of that league now after beating Oklahoma. And so I'm going to go with Mike Gundy and the mullet. Going with the mullet. By the way, only 40-something percent, 47% are on Cowboys for those that are keeping score at home. All right, up next, we go to the MAC Championship. Little MAC action on a Saturday after.
Saturday action. What?
Yep.
Action.
Noon Central
They
on
don't know how to
ESPN. Coming out of game day, it'll be Kent State 7-5 versus Northern Illinois 8-4. I believe this game is in at Ford Field in Detroit. 2.5-point dogs are the Huskies of Northern
I'm
Illinois.
glad you caught that.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Yep.
The dogs are dogs.
The dogs are dogs.
I'm taking the dogs.
Taking the dogs.
I like Northern Illinois in this one.
I just want to know if Dustin Crum is any kin to Denny. Just curious. I don't know. That being said, Dustin Crum and the Golden Flashes get this one done. Another good quarterback.
Okay. According to the numbers, 30% are picking Kent State. They're favored to win. Those are 2 pluses for me. So I'm going to go with the Golden Flashes. They get it done. Coming off a big win, by the way, last week. I think they're riding high with momentum.
Big win.
Yeah.
48-47.
Yeah, big win. It was emotional. Big emotion. Big is. Yeah.
I got you.
All right.
Got you.
All right.
Just
1 minute.
Making sure I understand what big means.
1 minute left for this segment. We've got Utah State at versus number 19 San Diego State. 3 Central on Fox. San Diego State 4.5-point favorites. I believe this game is in Carson where they play.
I am absolutely certain that San Diego State is going to cover, so I'm taking Utah State. If I am ever 100% certain on something, that's not what's going to happen.
Damn.
So I'm going.
Okay.
I'm going the opposite direction. Aggies get the Aggies covered.
I'm taking the Aztecs.
All right. Only 16% are on the Aggies of Utah State. So I got to go with them.
All right.
All right. I'm with Chris. Yeah. All right. So there you go.
Stick around. We'll be back after this with more picks on Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today.
The sports talk show you've always wanted. It's Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today. From preps to pros. Live from the Lee Company studio. With the Hall of Famer Mo Patton, here's Chris Yao.
Welcome back in Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yao, Mo Patton, JP Plant, here with you from Finley Stadium in the Mobile Lee Company studio, side of the Blue Cross Bowl State Football Championships. Rick Barnes on TV. Hey, Rick. Oh, man. What a weekend it has been. It's our final segment of the week. Man, a whirlwind. A whirlwind.
Whirlwind, yes.
Sorry we missed you on Wednesday, but if you're listening to the radio right now and you missed the show, it is up on the video is up on Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Facebook and YouTube and Twitter. So just an FYI. But we got a lot to get to. 5 more games, including the SEC championship game. So looking forward to making some picks. So JP, here are the keys.
You ready? All right.
Let's go.
Toss them, caught them. Here we go. All right.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. Up first, gentlemen, will be. Let me switch monitors over here. Make sure I'm on the right page. Here we go. All right. App State 10-2. They're taking on number 24 ranked Louisiana without, I'm assuming, Billy Napier.
No. Billy Napier is coaching.
Is he coaching this one? He's staying to coach. Okay. Well, good for him. Good Louisiana. I guess allowed them to do that. Why wouldn't they? They're right.
Right.
Why wouldn't they?
Why wouldn't they? I mean,
I don't know. Why wouldn't LSU allow Brian Kelly to keep coaching Notre Dame?
That's different. That's different.
Anyway, I
Because they're
digress.
giving him $10 million. They
true.
want him to start working for it right now.
Florida's giving. How much is Florida giving Napier? Close to that.
It doesn't matter.
Different situation.
I don't know. The recruiting's 365 that Florida haven't been doing well. So anyway,
There's that.
App State and Louisiana, and
At Louisiana.
it is at Louisiana.
It is at Louisiana.
Am I reading this correctly? Did I copy that
You do,
properly?
in fact.
Okay, so the Raging Cajuns,
I don't know what
another
Vegas
home
knows.
dog, Mo, a home dog. The Raging Cajuns, 2.5 points, is 3:30 Central on ESPN Saturday.
You know, I love me some home dogs. Seriously, I had a chance to hear a video clip of Billy Napier earlier this week explaining why he was coaching Louisiana in this. Louisiana in this
Louisiana.
in this
I
championship.
don't know. You better
game.
check with Brian Kelly how to pronounce that.
Yeah. I think they're a good team. They're playing at home, and they've got their coach, and I think they want to send him out on as high note as possible. I've got the Raging Cajuns in this one.
Okay.
I think you could make a case that would say players might be angry
Okay.
at Napier for leaving. I don't think that they would because, if they had a chance to go to Florida,
Yeah,
they'd probably go too.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So I don't know what Vegas knows, but it must be something. After picking against Louisiana a couple of weeks ago, I'm not doing it again. I got the Raging Cajuns covering 2.5.
You do like the Raging Cajuns.
I do. I got Louisiana.
Okay.
Louisiana woman.
I thought you. Okay.
Mississippi man.
That's right.
All right. App State favorites by 2.5. Only 36% are on them. What does that mean?
I mean, you're taking App State.
I'm taking the Mountaineers. Boone all day. Mountaineers get this one done Saturday afternoon. All right. Up next, SEC Championship game down in hot Atlanta. Number 1, Georgia, 12-0. Alabama, number 3, 11-1. And the Tide, 6.5-point dogs. And when we saw this, we asked amongst ourselves, when was the last time Alabama was an underdog? And Chris, you found the answer.
2015 against these Georgia Bulldogs.
Same Georgia Bulldogs. Okay.
And the last time they were a dog of this size, 2008 against Georgia Bulldogs.
Georgia Bulldogs.
The last time they were a dog in the SEC championship game, 2009 against the Florida Gators. They won all 3 of those.
All 3 of those.
So what you got, Mo?
I think Georgia by a touchdown feels about right. I'm taking the Georgia Bulldogs, not the Alabama Dogs in this ball game.
Well, I'm taking the dogs.
Which dogs are you taking?
The under ones. Roll Tide, baby.
All right. 63% are on the dogs. That would be the Bulldogs. 37% are on the underdogs. 37% in the stats that Chris just gave. When Alabama's an underdog under Nick Saban, what do? Al Davis said, just win, baby. So Alabama is going to just cover, baby. Just cover. I think Georgia wins, but I think it is under 6.5. Alabama to cover. Going with Alabama to cover. All right. Any other discussion on this one, by the way, before we leave this one? We're doing okay on time.
I think it's
probably worth mentioning that Georgia is coached by former Nick Saban assistant Kirby Smart, and that only once has Saban lost to a Saban assistant, and that was earlier this year to Jimbo Fisher.
Yep.
So just probably worth throwing out there.
It absolutely is worth throwing out. All right. Up next, we go to the American Athletic Conference Championship. I think that's what they're called these days. It is number 4 Cincinnati. I believe they're hosting this one too, right? Aren't they hosting in Cincinnati? Taking on Houston. Cincinnati ranked 4th in the country, of course, 12-0, first non-Power 5 or the Group of 5 to be included in a Final Four ranking. The Cougars of Houston, 11-1, 21st in the country. They've won 11 straight. Lost their first game of the year to Texas. Well, that was a long time ago. Texas getting the win. So Houston, 10.5-point dogs on the road. A lot to play for Cincy.
A lot to play for Cincy, and I think here over the last couple of weeks they've started to really kind of get a grasp of that fact. What they did. I didn't see the East Carolina game, but the game before that, was that the SMU game? Did they play 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, it was.
That they
just
beat the brakes off of.
Yep.
I think they have began to sense the urgency of their situation, and for that reason, I'm taking Cincinnati to cover.
Okay.
Did you know there are 4 teams in the country that rank among the top 10 in scoring offense and total defense?
Okay.
Alabama, Georgia,
Yep.
Cincinnati, and Houston.
Oh, hello.
I know, right? I didn't see that one coming either.
Okay.
26 times in a row, the Bearcats have won at Nippert Stadium. That's the second longest home winning streak in the country behind just Clemson at 34.
Okay.
Cincinnati's going to win the game, and they're going to cover 10.5 points. They win by 2 touchdowns.
Okay. Cincinnati. I was not high on them a couple of weeks ago in that SMU game mode that you talked about. I was like, okay, Cincinnati has not proven that they deserve to be there by having to win. It was 3 straight weeks where they needed to win by some style points, and they did not. Well, they did that game. They took care of business against East Carolina last week. I think you're right. I think they're back on track. Only 39% are picking Cincinnati to cover.
That's wild.
It's a big number. When I first heard that, that's a big number. Houston's a good team. But the more it has marinated, I'm with you, Mo. I think Cincinnati, they are beyond whatever shock of being in the Final Four, and they play like they belong. They get a win. I think it's close to 2 touchdowns. Could be more. Cincinnati with the win there. All right, so we go to the Big Ten Championship. I believe they're Indianapolis. Aren't they always there? Michigan, number 2 ranked. They jumped up after their big win over Ohio State. And I tell you what an emotional week for the Wolverines. Fans in particular. I can only assume the players felt that way. Coaching staff, Jim Harbaugh especially. As if that rivalry needed any more salt. He has provided that with that win. I'm worried that Michigan won't be able to come down yet. So, Mo, I'm curious where you guys where are you going with this one? 10.5 points, by the way. Michigan favored. 10.5.
Favored by 10.5.
Favored by 10.5.
I think between the event of the game or the big game. It's
the big game.
I think it's the game. I think
No,
it's the big
it's
game.
the big game.
The big
The
game
game is Cal Stanford.
That's correct.
it's also Harvard Yale.
Yeah,
That
but,
too.
But Michigan Ohio State is the big game.
Okay.
And between the results of that and the tragic occurrence that took place in a Michigan high school this week, I think that there's some emotion there as well, and I think Michigan's going to want to go out and represent. They're wearing a patch in observance and memory of the folks that lost their lives in that high school shooting. I think Michigan is kind of on a mission right about now, and I think they go out and get it done. 10.5 is a big number, but after the way they took Ohio State apart last week, I think they're good for it.
Yeah.
I've
They
got
play
the
that way.
Wolverines.
I may not be on the Jake McNamara Page train, but I'm on the Cade McNamara train. Wolverines cover.
All right. You like them big. Mo, that's an interesting point about, wearing the patch. And perhaps that could be the grounding effect for this team after the high of beating Ohio State, and something to rally around, something to get off the focus of, wow, we just did the most amazing thing in the world, because that's how they felt, because it had been so long.
And
That
they
was-
did.
And it was. It
That
was
was like
impressive.
a Super Bowl.
As we were watching Rich Eisen
Yep.
a couple of nights ago.
44%, only 44% are on Michigan. Now, that's in that window that I could go either way based on the percentages. I went with Cincinnati 10.5. I've heard this number. I thought that's awfully big. I was going to cover for sure. But my gut now is telling me Michigan. My gut's telling me Michigan. I got to ride with my gut because I'm winning this thing. I'm going Michigan to cover this one. And finally, gentlemen, last and probably least, the ACC championship game. We have Pittsburgh, 15th and 16th ranked in the country. Not too shabby, but Pittsburgh 10-2, Wake 10-2. This is in Charlotte. And the Demon Deacons 2.5-point favorites in this one. So there you go.
Yeah.
I think the two
There you
teams,
go.
I think the two teams Wake lost to were probably the two teams that were the best defenses from a physical standpoint. I think Clemson and North Carolina probably matched up better against Wake's offense than anybody else they've played. I think Wake offensively probably matches up better against Pitt. I don't think Pitt defensively is on the level of North Carolina / Clemson. And Pittsburgh should have lost to UT.
They should have, but they're not going to lose this one. Shootouts always go with the better quarterback, and Kenny Pickett's the better quarterback. Pittsburgh. JP?
Okay. Yep. Where's my numbers here? Let me get a quick look at this.
Oh, but you better hurry.
63, only 37% on Wake, so I'm going to go with the Demon Deacons. Going
All right.
Wake.
There you go. That's going to do it for Southern Middle Tennessee Sports Today this week. Come back on TriStar Friday Night Live after tonight, after the Page Powell game. It's going to be a lot of fun. And tomorrow at 10 a.m. Central Time. So for Mo Patton and JP Plant, I'm Chris Yao saying have a great day and stay cool. Columbia.